Instead of just listing a bunch of plants that bloom in the spring, today I wanted to show you how you can combine plants together like a designer would. With a layered garden system, you can mix structure, texture, and all of the beautiful spring blooms into one beautiful garden vignette that feels intentional and balanced right from the start of the season. My name is Amy, and over at Pretty Purple Door, I help home gardeners design landscapes that are uniquely you. So in this video, like I said, instead of a list of plants, I'm going to show you a spring layered garden design with specific conditions that will work in specific zones. This isn't going to work for every single person watching this video, but I encourage you to stick with me anyway because it's going to give you a whole system that you can use to create a beautiful spring garden vignette of your very own. So let's get into my layered gardening formula so you can see how I combine plants as a designer and use that as inspiration for creating your own garden beds. So this is a spring blooming layered garden with purples and pinks and a little pop of orange. This would do well in full sun while draining soil with dry to average moisture, and it would work in zones 4 through 8. And if this type of video is helpful to you, please let me know in the comments so I can do more of these. I thought this might be a little bit more helpful than just getting a full list of plants. So the first plant I used in this arrangement was a dwarf Mugo Pine, and this is an evergreen shrub. I used it for winter interest in the garden, which I think is very important. This actually grows in zones 2 through 7, and it's very slow growing. It's a compact evergreen conifer that has dense green needles and a tidy mounding habit. It offers year-round structure and interest in your garden, which is really important. This thrives in full sun and well-drained soil, and it brings a subtle texture and that grounding green color that makes a nice backdrop for your other plants. This will get anywhere from 24 to 60 inches high to 36 by 60 inches wide. Again, it's very slow growing, so it's going to take some time for it to reach that full 60-inch height and width. Next up is Walker's Low Catmint, and I chose this because it's a long blooming perennial, grows in zones 3 through 8. This is a really easy care perennial that produces a soft lavender blue flower over a very long period. And it's got this silvery foliage that's very aromatic, and it adds another level of contrast to your garden. It's drought tolerant and low maintenance, and it's also deer resistant and beloved by pollinators. You'll see bees and butterflies buzzing around its blooms. Walker's Low forms a billowy mound, and its spreading habit, like it gets wider than it does tall, can fill gaps and tie together your planting with continuous purple color. The next plant I chose was Allium Purple Sensation, and I'm calling this a supporting plant because it supports the color of the long bloomer in this series. So it's another purple plant, but it's not the exact same color as the purple of the Walker's Low Catmint. This grows in zones 4 through 8. You would plant this in the fall. It's an ornamental onion bulb, and it produces this striking, rich purple color with globe-shaped flowers in late spring, so it'll bloom at the same time. It has 2 to 3 feet tall flowering stalks that add a bold vertical accent that echoes the purple theme. So this is kind of a weird time of year in between when all of your early spring plants are blooming and then when your summer ones start, so that's why I kind of chose this arrangement in general. After it flowers, the allium's foliage just kind of fades away, but the dried seed heads can remain as a textural interest in the garden, or you can remove them. Either way, surrounding plants easily hide the dyed back foliage. This is very easy care. It's pest resistant. Deer and rabbits typically avoid it. Purple Sensation is one of my favorite alliums. It's just really an underrated bulb that brings a big color payoff and a wow factor beyond just usual tulips and daffodils and things like that. The next plant I chose for this arrangement is the Double Take Orange Quince. So I chose this because of the color contrast between the purple and the orange. I thought this would make a nice pop and really add something interesting to the garden. This can grow in zones 4 through 9. I put 5 to 8 here because it's root hardy in 4 with protection, but the best performance is really in that zone 5 range. This is another spring blooming plant. It's a deciduous shrub. It delivers this burst of vibrant orange-red flowers in early to mid-spring, just as the garden is waking up. So this will actually start blooming a little bit earlier than some of the other selections here, but it will continue through. Orange Storm is thornless, and it's a non-fruiting cultivar, so it makes it easy to manage, very different from the traditional flowering quince. It grows 3 to 4 feet high and wide. It has a dense mounded form that fits beautifully into layered borders. The bold rose-like blooms appear on the bare branches, so this creates a really dramatic contrast against the evergreens like the Mugo Pine that we chose here. Once it stops flowering, you get these clean green leaves to fill in and provide a tidy backdrop for your next flush of perennials. It's drought tolerant, deer resistant, and kind of an underused shrub that's ideal for adding a true orange pop to spring gardens across a wide range of climates. So that's why I chose this one. I thought it was a little bit unusual and interesting, and maybe you haven't heard of this one before. Okay, so next I chose a low grower or a ground cover type plant, and this one is Creeping Phlox, Purple Beauty. It grows in zones 3 through 9. It's kind of a low evergreen ground cover. It forms a dense mat of needle-like foliage, and in the spring it erupts into a carpet of purple, violet flowers. It blankets the ground with color. Planted at the front of the border or draping over the edges of your border, it ties together the taller elements in the spring and covers the bare soil, which is super important for preventing weeds and weed pressure. The rest of the year, it kind of has a moss-like foliage. It remains neat and green, often tinged with bronze in the winter, so it does stay sort of evergreen. It continues to fill the space year after year, spreading just a little bit and suppressing weeds for you. It's easy to grow in full sun, well-drained soil. Sometimes I feel like ground covers are overlooked in mixed borders. Here it earns its place by amplifying the color theme at the ground level for added interest. I think this is just a lovely plant, and it kind of quietly plays a supporting role throughout the entire season, not just when it's blooming. So I love that this is a functional layer. Ground covers are very functional in the garden because they're suppressing weeds and stopping you from having any bare dirt. So a great addition, and it also adds some color to our little vignette of plants we're choosing here. And last on this list, I chose Alpine Clematis, and this is a vertical accent for the garden, so we want to bring the eye upwards as well, not just to the ground level, not just to the plant level, but if we can get some color and interest upwards too, that's really going to help. So this grows in zones 3 through 8. It's a climbing vine, 2 to 3 feet wide by 6 to 8 feet high. This is a spring blooming clematis. The vine bears nodding bell-shaped flowers in shades of purple to violet blue in mid to late spring. The cultivar here is called Tage Lundell. Like I said, this adds a vertical layer to the design. It can climb a trellis, a fence, or even weave through different branches. You can drape it over your Mugo Pine to add a little bit more color onto your evergreen shrub. It won't harm it, and it'll add some height and whimsy to your garden. The delicate blooms of this are really interesting, and then once they fade, they get these fluffy seed heads that lend an almost woodland charm to your garden. It's got fern-like green foliage that remains attractive through the growing season. I think this variety is underutilized compared to more famous, larger flowering clematis. Alpine clematis is actually easier to grow. It's very cold hardy, it tolerates partial shade, and it doesn't require heavy pruning. In this grouping, it extends the purple display upward in the spring and gives the garden a graceful finishing touch, linking the shrub and ground level plantings together with the blooms of this clematis at eye level, which I always try to do as a designer. Just to note, while most plants in this spring layered list that I just covered are drought tolerant once established, clematis does benefit from a bit more moisture, so planting it near low growing ground covers like the phlox that we chose can keep the roots cool and evenly moist without unnecessarily overwatering the rest of the garden. And also remember that just because we're using drought tolerant plants doesn't mean that they're drought tolerant the second that you plant them. You have to water them for the first season or so until they get established. So each of these 6 plants I just put on the screen here play a distinct role in a layered design. The evergreen Mugo Pine for structure and winter interest, the long blooming Catmint for continuous color, the supporting Allium for a burst of spring purple, the Quince for a shot of contrasting orange, the Creeping Phlox to carpet the ground, and the Alpine Clematis vine to draw the eye upward. Together, these plants would create a cohesive spring-focused garden palette of rich purples, magentas, accented by brilliant orange. By combining well-known reliable performers with a few underrated gems, this design offers season-long beauty and an attractive color story suitable for gardeners in zones 4 through 8. So that's my example of a spring layered garden design using a layering system that I use in pretty much every design that I create. It brings together structure, continuous bloom, pops of color, and some vertical interest to add a little bit of drama. Remember, this is just one way and one example of how you can use my layering system. I'm aware that it's not going to work for everybody in every situation, but I'm hoping that you can use this as inspiration for your own garden to create your own vignettes. If you'd like to go deeper on this topic, you would absolutely love my Design Your 4-Season Garden course. This is exactly what we do. I walk you through this system step by step so that you can create garden beds that have structure, texture, interest, color, and unity and flow in every single season. So if you want a garden that looks good not just in spring but all year long, I'm going to leave a link to that course in the description below so you can check it out. And if you'd like to see another example of how I create these vignettes, I did do a video in the fall with a fall layered garden design. So I'm going to leave that one right on the screen right here so you could check that one out, and I'll see you over in the next layering video.